This is a very long video, so if you just want to get to how I froze the eggs and what I did with it, there's a link in the description. Just click it and it'll just skip all the talking and blah blah blah.
I'm sure you found videos on preserving eggs that had nothing to do with chickens when you search for this topic. That's why I put chicken in the title. Let's first set some things straight. Are eggs healthy or bad? Simple enough question, but you must first be sure of where you get your eggs. Even if my hens and the hens you're about to see are fed the exact same diet, I don't think you get the same quality in the eggs. These factory birds never see real sunshine, never walk on the ground, never get fresh greens of any kind. They rarely live over a year. Whereas a farm chicken, if allowed to live its natural life, can go over 10 years, if not longer, if not cold. These are cage-free chickens. Better, but still not good. Free range probably isn't what we think it is. And those costs, if it is done right, the way humanely, I don't think I could afford those eggs. But these are pretty expensive eggs I'm getting now. Now, chickens are wonderful. Don't get me wrong. Even homeowners associations and subdivisions inside cities are allowing a small flock, usually no roosters, 2 to 4 hens or something, all depending on, I guess, the size of the area. But, sorry, but I'm about to burst some bubbles. But you will not be saving money when you have your own flock of laying hens. Nope, you won't. Because your coop and fencing, then feed and other things. So when you figure out making a secure coop, whether you're in the country like me or in a residential area, you have to have a way that at night especially, that's when the predators really come out. There you go, Roo. That's when the predators really come out. So you have to have something that they can go into and you can, safely put them away. And you normally have to have some sort of fencing. Clip their wings, or like over here I've got the top on the roof. Okay. And whatever it costs you to make that coop, secure them around, half of that, half that price, and that's how many dozens of eggs you could have bought. Seriously, think about that. How many eggs can you buy? That simple $300 coop I bought from Sam's Club last year that is really worthless. I didn't even factor in the cost of the chicks, raising them to where they're going to actually provide you with meat or eggs, and the feed that you have to give them, cost of feeders, waterers, just from simple things as this bucket to something more complex that I'm going to be making. It all adds up. And over here the winters are pretty mild, but still they can drop below freezing. And if you're in a colder climate, you have to insulate and you have to provide heat during those times. So that's another additional cost. And I actually have plans of putting some sort of solar powered fan to keep the air circulating inside of that coop right here. Right here, because this is where our egg production is going to be. So if you want to save money, just buy the eggs. Or buy it from someone who's raising the chickens like you want, so you don't have to do that. And, medical care, deworming, cleaning the coop, nesting boxes, the day-to-day time that you have to spend. Because even though I'm going to try to set things up to where we can travel and I don't have to come up here every day, we should be up here every day to get the eggs at the very least. But it's good to come out here and just check on it, make sure everything's still secure, that nothing else is happening in there, that a water thing didn't fail. I mean, that's why I want to have multiple watering systems, because the heat is what's going to kill these birds before the cold during the winter will ever do. So it gets very expensive. Now, we don't have chickens to save money. It's not about saving money, although that would be nice. And eventually there's going to be some point we're going to break even at least, and we might be saving money, but I don't see that happening for many, many years, because in the past year and a half I have spent over $1,500 alone on coops and runs. This one's a little over $700 total. Yeah, that's a lot of eggs I could have bought. A lot of chicken meat. But here's some reasons that we do have chickens. One, we were first given our first chickens. We were given 3 chickens. If you don't already have chickens and never had them before, just say no. I'm warning you now. Just don't start. Just don't go there. 2, we wanted healthy eggs. Organic just means that their diet was fed organic stuff, or at least a certain percentage was minimally organic. But what about their living conditions? Do I want to support a system that I find wrong on so many levels? Remember the images from the beginning of this video? 3, we initially used them as manure management for our horses. They were great for that. They go over there and break up the piles and dig through and get the worms and whatever else that had gotten into it or was in there. And then we got goats, and chickens aren't good with goat poop. Now our goats in a different pens, and they no longer are together, so it's not for manure management. I have found that chicken manure on dirt like this, the clay was a mess, and I would assume the same thing for concrete or a wood floor, any sort of floor that doesn't allow them to really dig through like they can on this soil, that they don't smell as bad. I don't have to clean the coop and their area as much. So there's things to look on that end. 4, they are fun. If you do have them, or you have access to watching them, it's relaxing to watch, and they're kind of fun to just sit, throw things in there, and watch them just go at it, and they're hilarious. You can see personalities, and they are the gateway livestock for a reason. They are pretty neat, and they are probably the lowest maintenance once you have everything set up. And 5, meat production, which is for another video, and it has its reasons and methods and stuff, but that's why we're going ahead and hunker down and doing all this. And it's still not going to save us money in the long run. We're still going to be a long time before we break even. So this past winter, I had to go and buy eggs, and that just galled me to no end. You can just imagine. Here we are with almost a dozen laying hens, and we're getting one, on a good day, 3 eggs from all of them. And that's normal during days when there's not as much sunshine, and that's during the winter when you have shorter days, longer nights. Egg production goes down, and there are ways to trick them by putting a light bulb in their coop and different things like that, but that's not what I want to do. And they needed the break, and I needed the break, and if I had to buy the eggs, I had to just suck that up and do it. So I did. And this year I'm making this video about how I'm trying to avoid that. So currently we have 7 hens that are prime laying age. They're right at a year and a half old. We have 2 that are past their prime and need to be retired. We've got these 6 black Australorps that are new, and they just started laying. They're the ones, the small eggs that I'm getting. They're cute. And Gary, the Cornish cross. She's still, as you can see, she's still able to lift herself up and walk. She stays nasty back there. I don't know if I want eggs from her. She hasn't started laying yet. But, so that gives us, if Gary lays, because she should be in prime laying stage if she can continue to walk or hobble. Look at that. Isn't it just unnatural? If she can continue to walk, I want to breed and hatch her eggs with the cross of whatever rooster we, standard size rooster we get, and see if we can get a good meat bird going there. But, you know, time and money. And recently I had over a dozen eggs in the refrigerator. I mean, that was just crazy. And I started doing some research on how to preserve eggs, and I was earlier this year I was pickling them. Uh, one Sunday a month we have potluck at church, and I would boil at least 4 dozen eggs, usually more, and make deviled eggs and take trays of that stuff to church. And most of the time I didn't bring much home, but that was a lot of work. One Friday and Saturday I was doing nothing but boiling and peeling eggs. And I looked at different methods. I'm not comfortable with dehydrated eggs, whether I do them from boiled eggs or do them from raw eggs. I've got the dehydrator. I like using that. And a lot of times I don't need eggs for my cooking. I can find egg substitutes and do without eggs, and a lot of mixes you can do other things, and you can omit them and not really see that big a difference. But I like having fresh eggs, so I'm experimenting with freezing them. And here's what I've got so far. I only wash the eggs right before I use them, because you wash the bloom off and you can have eggs go bad sooner if you wash them and just put them in the fridge and don't use them for days. Now these 3 are from the new hens, so they are definitely much smaller, even though that's not one of the biggest ones, but they are definitely not as round, not as big, and yet they are still too big for an egg tray, so I can't use them. Instead, I have these little containers, and you can get them from Dollar Tree, 10 for $1, not a bad deal. They also come in round. I hadn't used these yet. These are new to me. BPA free, so and I always crack eggs into a bowl. This is the bowl I like to use. I'm not getting any gunk into it. And that's good. Now, with the newer eggs, new chickens laying, you don't know. All sorts of odd stuff could be in there along with some blood. I do have one hen. I'm not sure which one it is. Like, I can tell that this egg is from Goldie. That she lays a very light colored egg, and the rest I'm kind of guessing at who's laying what. But one will always have some sort of gunk in it, and it's just weird. It's just some hens just do that. And if I could figure it out, I might separate her and not sell her on. Don't do that. But just know that those eggs always need to be cracked open. But see how that fits nicely. A jumbo egg may not even fit in these, because while we have this surplus, I want to just store away as much eggs to use during the winter. So we've got at least 3 months, 2 or 3 months before they start molting, and then that's when we'll get to use these. So I wanted to show you what an odd egg. This was in the shell. Now some of these are fertilized, but I think she was laying that kind of stuff before she got with the rooster, so oops. That's probably okay, but I just don't like the look of it. It bothers me. So if I'm not going to eat it, I'm not going to let anyone else eat it. But otherwise the egg is okay. I got it out. It's not so pretty, but it could still be used for cooking. Now, no store-bought egg is going to be this orange. And this isn't even the orangest ones that we have. Like, that one's a lot more orange. I don't know if the camera's picking that up. But I wanted to show you, see that round white spot on the yolk? that means it was fertilized. That's where the chick starts to grow from, not the what my son calls shock absorbers. But this one was a fertilized egg. It doesn't matter to me unless I'm going to hatch them. I don't really care about them being fertilized or not, as long as they were refrigerated early enough to stop it. There's not a partially grown baby chicken there. But I just wanted you to see if the camera's picking that up, but it's like the little white dot, little circle on the yolk. So our bantam chick rooster is able to mate with the full-size chickens, hens. And this is the bowl of empty eggshells. And this is what I do. I have another bowl, identical, also from Dollar Tree. They nest perfectly in there. And eggshells can be sharp, and I give them back. I used to roast the eggshells so they wouldn't have raw egg in them. I did all sorts of stuff, but so far we don't have egg eaters unless the food gets low. As long as they've got food, I've not had a problem with that. And one of them does have a soft shell, even though they're getting the same diet. Her eggs will sometimes break in the nest, and I'm hoping, you know, they need more calcium, so here it is. Now, it doesn't take long for them to freeze, but I like to let them stay in there at least overnight. And sometimes I can't get to them until a day or so later. And it doesn't take long, just some warm water from the tap. You don't need hot water, but you do need a little something to pop them out, because they won't come out easily, and I don't want to just wait. So it doesn't take long in this water for them to thaw enough to pop out. And I like to put 6 eggs like this if I pop them out of the containers. Oops, didn't wait long enough for that one. See? It does not take long. So I got 6 now. And I need to put that back into the freezer. And I also, because I bought extras of these, I put 8, kept them in the container, and put 8 of them in there. I also tried just in the baggie with a single egg. This is a one-time use, and then you throw the bags away because I'm not going to wash them. And they're pretty cheap. You can get these this size and smaller at craft places. But I like being able to reuse these, wash them, do them, you know, time and time again, because I want to get at least 4 dozen per month. I want to cover 6 months. So with getting eggs still from our chickens and the 4 dozen that I've got frozen, that should cover us with egg use for 6 months at least. So this took a little over 5 minutes to cook. Normally I like my eggs over easy or over medium. Oops. I'll clean up later. So a little bit of salt. Tastes good. Now this egg hasn't been frozen that long, been in the freezer long. So I'll be interested to see how this goes. Our chickens should still be giving us enough eggs, so we'll have fresh eggs for, you know, my sunny side ups or over easy eggs. But cooking with these recipes, casseroles, omelets, scrambled eggs, just got to plan ahead and let them thaw in the fridge. We have an upright freezer, and even if it was a test freezer, there would still be some problems with possible thawing and refreezing, then that's where you get your freeze and burn, not just the air, which, you know, minimizing the air. Whoops. Minimizing the air would, like in here, this probably would last longer than this. But all of this is going inside of a thermal bag. And like I said, I put 4 dozens worth into each of these bags. And then they're put in the freezer. So that's to help minimize the thawing and refreezing. So I'm going to try now cooking with a frozen egg. Let the skillet get hot. Now, some of the things I've read and seen on the internet, and you know how reliable that can, and sometimes it's not, be. So it says to not thaw at room temperature. Don't leave this out and let it, you know, get to room temperature. So I've got one thawing in the fridge, and I'm timing that to see how long it takes to thaw in the fridge, one egg. But I'm also going to cook one. Frozen, and see how that does. This is our egg skillet. We can cook 2 in there and still have a nice little size on the plate. Keeps it all nice and corralled. I know, boring. So this took a little over 5 minutes to cook. Normally I like my eggs over easy or over medium. Oops. I'll clean up later. So a little bit of salt. Tastes good. Now this egg hasn't been frozen that long, been in the freezer long. So I'll be interested to see how this goes. Our chickens should still be giving us enough eggs, so we'll have fresh eggs for, you know, my sunny side ups or over easy eggs. But cooking with these recipes, casseroles, omelets, scrambled eggs, just got to plan ahead and let them thaw in the fridge. This took almost 12 hours in the refrigerator to thaw. This just took a few minutes that I put in some warm tap water in a bowl and let it thaw. It just, by the time I was done doing other things, it was ready. So here's the odd stuff. The yolk. Look at that. It's kind of solid. It's kind of feels like when you boil the egg and how the yolk will come out. And this also, this feels softer. It has more give than that does. Okay, the pan is preheating. It's already oiled. And let's open up the baggie. There it goes. Go ahead and close that up. Yeah, the yolk is not going to run. It's still not cooked. spread it out. So a little over 2 minutes. Flip that over. And now this one. That's a hard yolk. I'm going to turn the heat off and let it finish cooking and what residual heat is in there. So here are the 2 eggs. The one that I quick thawed, and I was able to at least flatten out the yolk. And then the one that thawed in the fridge. Tastes fine. I prefer my yolk runny, so that definitely I'll be doing the fresh eggs that way and using these for cooking. But I don't like the way the yolks have hardened up, so that gives me some concerns about how I'm going to mix that into a batter. That's not going to work. So I think from now on, the eggs that I'm going to freeze, if I do them whole, they're going to be cooked frozen. And new batches, I like this better. New batches will be beaten. I'm not going to put them in there, you know, just right, you know, as they are. So I'm going to beat the eggs and then put them in there. Another step. Thanks for watching.